And I'm not saying that's bad. You can take back your dislike. No, what I'm saying is, Nosferatu is despair. It is hopeless, horrifying, and it immediately begins mysterious as Lily Rose Depp's Ellen Hutter prays to the unknown, leaving her to seize outdoors, and perhaps giving us maybe one of two jump scares. Much like you, I too watched Nosferatu on Christmas Day, my first time ever celebrating with a theater trip, but that's not what will cement this experience upon future recollection. No, that accolade goes to today's subject, and I want to start off by praising Lily Rose Depp's performance as Ellen Hutter. I watched her in The Idol, and I could not believe the complete shift this role has given her. Though much of her screen time was in hysteria, one of the most memorable scenes for me was towards the end where she's shaking like crazy and her pupils go all the way up. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take it to the beginning after the title card. I slept poorly the night before and it seeped its way into my showing. We also went to a theater that I tried to avoid for big crowds. They mostly have stadium seating, so it feels very bunched up. And the fact that people can be so unruly there. So while I was slightly uncomfortable, things went pretty smooth. But I couldn't help but think the first 20 minutes or so were slow. The accents, Ellen's pleas for her husband, the overall atmosphere. It wasn't until Thomas Wade made his way up the mountains to Count Orlok's manor that the fun began.
You can't tell me the horse and carriage sliding up to Thomas wasn't incredible. It's reminiscent of classic movies where you can't fathom how certain feats were pulled. I found Count Orlok's initial appearance to be ambiguous, as I wasn't sure if he had a servant living with him or not. In fact, much of Thomas's time in the castle felt ambiguous. I was never comfortable in that manner. With that being said, can we just talk about Bill Skarsgård? I know your last two releases didn't perform all too well, and you might not want to play monster characters again and be a typecast. But dude, thank you for delivering, man. I've got half a mind to check out who's out there for a supporting actor. The guy has such a deep voice, plus that accent, forcing you not only to pay close attention to what he's saying, but be just as wrapped into it as Thomas is. And I love how scared Nicholas Hoult was acting. He was shaking, face all a mess, breathing hard. It was a little bit funny watching the panic unfold. When Thomas goes to sign the paper and it's a goddamn scroll with Nosferatu font on it, ambiguous. Didn't trust it, man. That's my word of the day right there. One of my favorite moments here is when he goes walking around the manor. He finds Orlok's sarcophagus, tries to kill him mid-sleep. You see the critters all over his face, and when he swings was it an axe? He swings the weapon and he just stops him mid-swing. That was badass. But that's Act 1, as people say, the journey to the manor. It's full of beautiful cinematography and wondrous curiosity. As the veil is lifted and we understand more of what's going on, we slide on over back home to everyone else. This is the most niche thing ever, but I'm a fan of when actors have multiple movies coming out so close to each other. One example that happened this year was with Sebastian Stan. A Different Man and The Apprentice came out close to each other, and now we have Aaron Taylor Johnson with Kraven the Hunter and Nosferatu. The great thing about an ensemble cast is how much shared screen time everyone receives, and I'm glad he got his fair share here. Bullet Train really brought him back to the spotlight for me. His character Frederick Harding, however, though a caring man and loved his family dearly, kinda impeded the story. Yes, he handled things as the man of the house, but he was such a skeptic about this mythical creature existing, where if his mind frame was where it was supposed to be, maybe the ending would have been different. On the other hand, his wife Anna, bless her soul, for some reason I thought there were times she was going to betray Ellen. I don't know why. Some of her scenes just felt suspicious. Yo, I was on edge the whole movie, don't blame me. When they were in bed together, I thought someone was going to stab the other. But it turns out they were just really good friends. So much of the second act is figuring out what the hell to do now. Ellen's connection to Orlok is pretty gross. It's like a one-way portal where he can see what she's up to. Thomas's boss, 𝙎𝙊𝘾, played by Simon McBurney, sent his employee off to a hellhole that takes 6 weeks to arrive to. We saw him snow angeling it up with incantations while muttering, biting the head off a pigeon amidst insanity. Get that evil shit away from me, man. Dark tones, dark music, 19th century misery, twitching bodies, a woman begging to be understood by her best friend's man, dead children, dead wife, a grieving husband who soon dies after, a city plagued by a destroyer, a sick husband willing to do what he must to protect his lover. Because if there's anyone out there that knows what the hell is going on in 𝙎𝑗𝑚𝑬𝑹𝑺 and what Nosferatu seeks, it is him. Of course, with the help of Ralph Ineson and Willem Dafoe, a doctor and professor scientist occult aficionado. But just let my narrative play out, okay? Before we get back to emo voiceover, my theater audience absolutely loved Willem Dafoe's performance. He received multiple laughs, and his long pipe is incredible. I think Dafoe's Professor Von Franz brings a great turning point in the story. No longer is anyone a headless chicken. No longer will Ellen's bouts of melancholy be labeled bouts of melancholy. Besides Frederick's skepticism and Thomas the Limper, it felt like they were ready to kick ass. And this sort of ties up my whole thing with how Nosferatu just feels wrong. It takes any goodwill that you have left of the plot and just sucks you dry. The reason Thomas was sent up to the manor was to secure a deal which would have landed him a promotion. It would have built a better future for his family, but his boss was only concerned with 𝙎𝙾𝙀𝙁𝙀𝙁, while Ellen was still at home suffering her trances again. Sure, Thomas escapes, but only after being bit up a couple of times and escaping multiple near-death experiences. Sure, Thomas escapes, but 𝙎𝙁𝙁𝙁 has his locket with Ellen's hair and brings this plague to their town. Yeah, the professor proves to be the most valuable asset in this ensemble, but Ellen has been given an ultimatum of 3 days to commit to 𝙎𝙁𝙁, resulting in the death of not only her best friend, but the 2 daughters. And yes, it felt like Frederick, Thomas, Dr. Sleevers, and Professor Franz were going to kick ass, but so soon after, Frederick is hit by the plague. He had just gotten aboard with everyone else. Ambiguous is my word of the video today. I trusted nothing, so even when Ellen and the professor had an understanding that she was to be the one to end Nosferatu, I really thought their expedition to his final home would be the resolution. I half hoped he was lying there.
I hoped even burning it all down would directly cause his death on the spot, but it didn't. There's not a moment in this movie where you're allowed to feel temporary relief. A lot of that goes to the incredible job done of music, tone, and the color palette of the film. If you're really paying attention, you just get it. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu ends as Ellen and 𝙎𝙁𝙁𝙁 die. The camera juicily pans to the door where Thomas enters, realizing alongside us that everyone except the 3 men have died. That all of it was for nothing, and there was never really a chance. Never a shimmering glimmer of salvation. And for that, I say, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. I hear people all the time throw his name into the title, and that rarely ever happens. Greta Gerwig's Barbie, like what, dude? I had to name drop the king up there before the little title card, right? That was cool, right? I have never seen his movies, but I know of them. I never knew he directed them, so kudos, man. You're a strong visionary. This movie has no Golden Globes and only 4 Critics' Choice nominations, but they're more for atmosphere. I think they're very deserved, but honestly, I think Nosferatu is Best Picture worthy. There are still a couple of ceremonies awaiting, and so I really do hope the Oscars gives it some recognition. From my minimal research of this movie, I got a list, a couple of movies that you could watch if you like this one. The original Nosferatu from 1922. It's streaming almost everywhere with ads, and even the Wikipedia page freaking has the movie.
I'm finishing up the edit right now, and I don't know how I forgot this, but there's also Nosferatu the Vampire. It's sort of like a retelling, reimagining of the original Nosferatu. It's also streaming everywhere with ads, and I'll probably just put it on Peacock.
Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. Francis Ford Coppola directed it. We love the guy. And last but not least, Shadow of the Vampire. It's the most interesting one because it's a performance about the filming of the original Nosferatu from 22, where Willem Dafoe plays the original actor of Count 𝙎𝙁𝙁𝙁. And you know what? Since I'm blabbering, another cast member's movie, Renfield, Nicholas Hoult. It's about the character who inspired Thomas's boss, the head-biting pigeon Brutes.
Thank God I'm done recording now. I've been sickly the past 2 days. Writing this video has been pretty awful as I've had nothing in my head due to the sickness, but I do think I wrapped up that conclusion pretty strong there. Love what you like, people. Protect your energy, and Happy New Year, because this is definitely my last one of the year. A Complete Unknown is getting derailed to first upload of 2025. And yes, I know you've been waiting for it, but the only thing I knew about Nosferatu prior to this movie was
NOSFERATU!